Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This is Ruben, the young electrician. Just driving to work right now. I was thinking about the last video that I made, or one of the last videos that I made on advice for apprentices, and yeah, I kind of liked the way the video came out, so I wanted to make another video. I was using PowerPoint, and it sounded a little bit robotic. Yeah, I thought it was really good information, but I didn't think the way that I put the video together was good, so I wanted to do this one, just kind of have a casual conversation-y type approach to it, because I feel like this information is something that just blessed me when I was an apprentice, so I want to pass that on. So this is going to be on 3 tips or 3 pieces of advice that I give to every apprentice I meet, and so let's hop right in. Go ahead and comment in the comment section below. Either one, what was your best experience as an apprentice? Like, what was the greatest lesson you learned from a journeyman or from a foreman or someone you were working with? Or comment, what was the worst experience you had? What was something you just, wow, they really let you down? So yeah, just comment something you learned, or comment one of the worst experiences you had as an apprentice. And yeah, let's hear some of those responses down below, and I'll share some of this video here. So number one, first piece of advice is don't make excuses. And I'll tell you why. The number one reason you should not make excuses as an apprentice when you're at work is because nobody cares. And I'm not saying that to be mean or saying that to be funny. I'm saying that to be serious. It's true. Your boss, your lead man, everybody else, they're trying to finish a project. My old boss used to say, I don't want problems, I want solutions. And that stuck with me. I don't want problems, I want solutions. One, it shows that you don't take initiative, and it may show that you really don't care about your job, your profession. You don't care to grow. And I want to explain what I mean, because making excuses is way different than not being able to complete a task. Like if you're wiring something up or installing some boxes, and there's an entire wall that's not framed out, that's not an excuse, that's an entire wall missing, right? But if you maybe don't know the height of a certain box, so you just don't install it, and you just say, well, no one told me how high the box was going to be, so I couldn't install it. That's an excuse. That right there is an excuse. So let me tell you the approach you take when you're working on a project. If you can't figure out how you could complete a particular task, or what you're able to actually do to complete the task, if you can't find a route, or if you just don't know the answer to how to complete a task, you need to call your boss, call your lead man, call your foreman, call one of the journeymen around you. You're all on your phone anyways. Pick it up, call one of the guys, and ask the question. This is way different. This shows that you are taking initiative on the job site. You are trying to complete a task, and that's going to show with your boss. If you are making excuses and you semi-complete a task, and it's not completely done, and then you go up to your boss, you give him an excuse to why it's not done, that's going to look bad. It is better while you are doing the task to call somebody and say, hey, I can't find this piece of material, or I'm not exactly sure what to do. Can you help me out? That shows initiative. That shows you are trying to complete a task. And your boss would respect that, because his main goal is to complete the job, complete the task. So if you're making excuses, they're going to know. If you're looking for solutions, they're going to know. They're going to be able to tell, wow, this guy actually takes the initiative to try and get things done, and they're going to respect that. And you're going to be the one they're going to want to keep on the job site when things start dwindling down. And that's one of the most important things. You want to make sure that even though you're replaceable, I'm replaceable, we're all replaceable, right? As an apprentice, I always wanted to make sure, if I was in my first year, you couldn't replace me with the first year guy. You need a second or third year guy. If I was in my second year, you definitely needed a third year guy to replace me. Or you needed somebody way more advanced in years in the trade to replace me, because I'm going to put so much initiative into my job. I didn't want to be replaceable. I wanted to make it very hard to replace me. Also, I mentioned in the last video, there was a quote. I didn't know who said it, and I actually seen it on Facebook, written in Old English, and unless the internet lied to me, it was Benjamin Franklin. And the quote was, if you get good at making excuses, that's all you'll ever be good at. So, don't get good at making excuses. Don't make it a habit to make excuses. Make it a habit to find solutions. At least put your effort into it. If you fail, at least you failed trying. Because it does produce laziness in us, where it's like, oh, I can't do that, and you take the lazy route, and that happens. That'll be, on the third piece of advice to give today, on not letting others' bad habits or bad attitudes affect you. This is a part of it. Some people are lazy, and sometimes that'll rub off on you. So be very intentional when you're working, and don't make excuses. Just be a part of the team. Be a part of trying to complete a task. If you take a little longer to complete a task, at least it's completed. I remember one of the job sites, they used to say that, well, Ruben's not the fastest electrician, but you never have to go back and fix his work. And all the other guys, man, you'll see these guys slamming stuff in, going fast, right? You think, wow, this is the world's greatest electrician. And then you go back and fix all their stuff later because they're fast, but they're just not efficient. And that just takes extra time on the job site. So number 2, this is very important, especially for apprentices, but for everyone in the trade. Any career that you're in, this is important. Watch and observe how others complete tasks. Watch and observe how others complete tasks. I shared this story last time, if any of you suffered through that video, on how I was given the option, the opportunity to make up a panel. I was working at a CVS, and the journeyman let me make up a panel because I was in my first year. He liked me, and there were 5 other panels literally right next to it, same location, same size, everything already made up, and they look clean. They're very clean work. Journeyman was awesome, and I did my panel. And when my journeyman walked up and seen me, he says, "Wow, that's hideous. That's the ugliest panel I've ever seen." And I was like, "What?" And he said, "You didn't take the time to just look at the panels already completed next to it, and just imitate what I did." And he taught me that lesson. And if I would have just taken the time to look at the ones that were already completed and see how did he bring his wires into his breakers, how did he, zip tie his wires together, how did he label his wires, to try and make it as much like his as possible, so I could, not reinvent the wheel and not do a terrible job. So after that, they really helped me out. And one particular time that helped me out was probably a year later. I was working on a residential project, and I was working on these common areas, and I was just getting my butt handed to me at this place. I was taking forever. I was, pretty nervous. I thought I was gonna get fired, and I was just having a hard time, and nobody was actually coming and actually instructing me. There was no help at all at this place. You've probably been to in a situation like that too if you've been an apprentice for a while. And I remember this one guy. He was he'd been in the trade probably 6-7 years, but he wasn't a journeyman. He walks up down the hall, and he looks at me, and he sees me struggling, sees me having a hard time, and he just walks away. I mean, he looked at me for quite a few minutes, and then he just walked away. I thought he was going to come up and be like, "Hey, I'm doing the same thing. Let me show you how to do it." But no, he didn't. He just walked away. So I knew he was doing the same thing I was doing on a different side of the hallway. So I just walked over and started observing him. I did exactly what my journeyman told me to do before, and I observed him. I was there for probably like 10 minutes, just watching him. And I can't remember if I went up and talked to him. I think I did approach him and talk to him. I was like, hey, like, is this the best route? I'm doing the same thing, blah, blah, blah. And I think I did talk to him, and he did give me some lessons after I observed him. And I went back and did the same thing. And honestly, it's a lesson that I ran with the entire time. I do the same method now when I run hallways, when I'm pulling wire. And but some people are really helpful, and they're going to take the time to teach you, and some people are just not helpful at all, and they're going to let you struggle. So you have to take the initiative to observe and observe how you should complete a task. And this goes for anything, any field, any career, any task. If you just observe how somebody else did it and imitate them, maybe you'll create your own way to do it. You'll find a better way of completing a task, but at least it'll put you on the right track, to completing the task well. And I really respected it when I was an apprentice, and I learned a good method of doing something, and I seen people older than me, on the trade longer than me, adopting my method of doing things, because it showed me that as a journeyman, you don't have to be prideful. As somebody that's been in the trade for a while, you don't have to be prideful. You could learn from anyone. That's another point. You can learn something from just about anyone. And if you're prideful, I met those guys. You probably met those guys too. They've been doing it for 20 years, but they've been doing it wrong for 20 years. But nobody could tell them nothing. Don't be like that. Don't be that guy. And all of us, we have a little bit of pride in us, and we want to think that we do things the best, and we want to think that that we're really good electricians. But it's just going to hold you back. If there's a first year apprentice, second year apprentice that learns something or does something better than I do it, or he sees it in a better way than I can see it, then I'm going to adopt his method. That's going to be my method of doing things now, because for me, I want to be a better electrician, and the only way I could do that is if I'm open to learning new methods of new and efficient methods of completing tasks. So that's the second thing. Observe how other people complete tasks. Now, the third piece of advice here, and this is something I have to remember often, and it took me years to really grab hold of. Don't let the bad attitudes and bad work habits of other people rub off on you. I remember one time I was working in Northridge at these apartment complexes we were building, and I just came off on a job in Irvine where we're roping units, we're wiring up apartment units, and we're racing each other. We're trying to see who's better, friendly competition. I'm just learning, so I'm not that fast, but I'm learning from these guys. I'm picking up new methods from these guys, and I'm just loving it. I get to this project, and everybody's milking it. And if you know what milking it means they're just slowly working, not trying to complete anything, just trying to stay on the job site as long as they could. And I remember we're doing a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, and there was 3 of us in the unit. I'm used to either roping by myself or maybe with one other guy. One guy does home runs, one guy does all the jumpers, and you're done. Not that hard. So it took me, I got 1 bathroom and one of the bedrooms and maybe a little closet to rope, and I did that in maybe 2 hours. I drilled it, I roped it, maybe 3, I don't remember, but I drilled it, I roped it, I was done, and I was not paying attention to the other guys at the time because I'm focused on my job. And I finished, and I'm like, all right, you guys ready for the next unit? And they're like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you finished too fast. Like, we got to make this thing last. Like, slow down. And he said, you can help me out, like, in this portion, but you're going to have to slow down, dude, or you're going to have to go work with somebody else and one of the other areas on the project and get out of the units. And I was like, what? I was like, you guys don't know how to rope units or something? Like, do you guys need help? I could show you guys how to rope a unit. Like, you know, I learned some things, and we're knocking units out pretty fast in the other project. And no, these guys were just milking it. And I remember like thinking, wow, this stinks. Like, I don't want to be here. And yeah, because the thing is, you try to slow down to work at other people's paces when they have a bad work habit like that and they want to milk it. But the problem is, you adopt that, and then when you go into the next project and you have, you know, these bad habits, people are going to be like, why are you so slow? Or, you know, why are you so lazy? And, you know, it says one bad apple spoils the bunch. And that's true. It's like, if you're the guy with the bad work habit, other people are going to adopt that. Other people under you are going to adopt that and think, well, this is what an electrician is. And, you know, you don't want to be that person. You want to be somebody who's productive. And also people's attitude. Sometimes people are just upset because they don't like their pay, they don't like the boss, they don't like the workload, they don't like their life, whatever it may be. You know, some people, anything just makes them bitter. They just walk around with their rain cloud over them, looking like Eeyore, and that is contagious. That could rub off on you. You know, and I've been there. I've had a bad attitude at work. You know, hate the job, hate my pay, hate my life, right? I remember this, and it was nobody else's fault but mine. I worked with some guys, and they'd complain about the job site, and goodness gracious, it is contagious. It is contagious. So I let other people's bad habits rub off on me, bad attitudes rub off on me, and you know, I took that to other job sites, and it took me a while to really guard myself against that, and it took me a while to really guard myself against that. And other things like, you know, people's bad language on the job site. That one's really hard because, you know, as a Christian, I'm not interested in using bad language or, you know, talking about women the way people talk about on job sites or whatever it may be, the particular topics people talk about. So I got to guard myself against that, and it's really hard sometimes. So it took me a long time to really learn to guard myself against that, to not care what the other guys think about me. Yeah, just to be okay with, you know, guys not liking that I don't talk about these topics, or I excuse myself from particular conversations, or, you know, not choose particular speech. So yeah, you gotta learn to guard yourself against people's bad work habits and bad attitudes and sometimes bad language or whatever it may be that you want to guard yourself against, because it will rub off on you. Bad company corrupts good morals or good habits. So one of the other things on that is that if you do adopt these bad habits, if you do adopt this bad attitude, then if you go to a job site or a company and there's really good workers, they're going to be guarding themselves against you. You're going to be the guy that's easily let go. And you might be a good worker, but if you have a bad attitude, I'll let a guy go with a bad attitude, who's a good worker, over somebody who's a decent worker with a good attitude. Because I know the decent worker, he's going to help bring up the morale of the job site. He's going to help to bring up the attitude of the other guys, and he's going to be a part of the team. If I got a guy who's a good worker, but he's always, you know, hating life, and then, you know, he's going to bring the other guys down and they're going to hate life, it's like, yeah, I prefer not to have that, because that's counterproductive on a job site. So number one, never make excuses. We don't want excuses, we want solutions. Number two, always observe how others complete tasks. You can learn something from just about anyone. And number three, what was number three? Somebody remind me, I was just talking about it. What happens when you're driving and you're talking? Can't remember anything. What was number three? Oh yeah. Don't let the bad work habits and the bad attitudes of others rub off on you. So if you found this video helpful, go ahead, like it, subscribe. I really want to get a lot of this content out to a lot of electricians, construction workers, other people that'll benefit from it. Go ahead and comment in the comment section below. What was your best experience, your best lesson learned on a job site as an apprentice, and or what was your worst experience as an apprentice? Love to hear those stories. Until next time, take care, guys.